I'll see if I can find it. Okay, we are live.
We live. We live, y'all.
We live. We live.
Let me pull it up. Okay.
So, yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing here.
Oh,
Took me sure I got all my volumes down.
Leave that guy first.
Okay,
Hey,
now I got to
Miss
figure out
Christy.
which one's giving me the echo.
How you doing, Miss Christy? Hey, Patricia Roberts. How y'all doing this evening? Why can't I? Oh, there it is. Boom. Hey, hey. Yeah, hey, hey. So we're gonna do some hydroponics, y'all. Y'all excited? You ready for that?
Is that my echo or yours, Robert?
I don't have an echo. What you might be hearing is a slight. So even though you turned your volume down on your phone, it's still technically it's still on at some on some level. So that might be what you're hearing. But yeah, I don't have an echo. I don't even hear your echo. Do y'all hear the echo, family in the building? Do y'all hear the echo?
Okay, hold on. I'm getting a mic check here. And I'm almost sure that that's off. Sorry, guys, I'm still trying to learn the technical end of this.
Okay. I should be back in the chat now. Yes, excited. Well, how about you? I'm doing good. It's been a long week. Man, it's been a long week. Okay, Miss Chrissy, they said they don't hear any echoes. They don't hear any echoes. Yeah, we're gonna do the Kratky method with Miss Kraft. Miss Kraft's gonna teach me yet again how to grow hydroponic style. So of course we will put the materials we're using as far as the Kratky method in the description below. This is going to be our just our intro session where she explains the ins and outs, the 101 for hydroponics, and specifically to the Kratky system as well. And then after that, we're going to start our seeds right here with you live so we can show you how we're starting them. It's not the only way to start seeds. And then that should give you enough time to get you a Kratky system, whichever way you want to go about doing it. If you want to order the kits we did, it's a really good deal. I ventured on getting my own food grade containers and doing it myself, but by the time I priced it all out, I just went with this guy because it was a really good price, and it made it it was the easy button. Hit the easy button. But yeah, so we should have a good time. Turf, you started your worm. Oh, you started your worms. Thanks for your pet. Nice, cool. You got your worms going. Now, if you go back to that video, I know it took me like a week. I'm a busy dude. It took me like a week, but I finally dropped. Hey, Star Duster too. I didn't see you in a while.
Hey, Star. How you doing, lady?
If you go back to that video with the worms thing, there's a Google link in there to take you to the Google Drive so you can download all the documents that you need as far as, if you had questions about different things with your worms. And of course, you can email me and I'll get to you as soon as possible. Yeah, that's cool. You got your worms. Everybody got their worms in, I'm pretty sure.
It's funny how I can't even find my own video. Oh, there it is.
I just hit the notification when it came up.
Hey, my husband is in the room. Everybody say hello to Marcus. Hey, baby.
How you doing, brother? Did anybody do a fresh juice wine along with us when we started our apple ginger batch? Did anybody else jump in on that? Anyone brewing up some wine from some fresh fruit? Mine is in there doing its thing.
Yeah, mine is. I didn't brew any at all. There's nothing going on back there.
Oh, been busy. Happy to hear. Happy to be here. That's what I'm talking about, Stardust.
Yes, yes. Thank you everybody for showing up. How you doing?
Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
Boom.
give it just a few more minutes to see if we get anybody else jump into the room.
Okay.
Let's see. Make sure that comes down like that. Yeah. So has anybody else started wine? You know, what's your latest creation, Robert? What have you like brewing up?
The latest creation, I can't tell you because it's something that me and the wife are doing together.
Yes.
A special batch for you. So
Aw,
just
thanks.
know it's gonna be good. That thing is
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
I can't wait. I cannot wait, especially since I know the wifey is helping out with it too. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. We brewed up a batch last Wednesday, I want to say, is
Okay.
when we did it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I did have one batch. Yeah, I did have one batch bomb out on me, so I had to
Oh, no. What happened?
restart it. So
What happened?
I don't know. The yeast did not perform as well as I thought it would. So it was either the yeast was old or it was still too cold or something like that. So I just pitch some more yeast in there and hopefully I'll finish it out the way I want. That's all you got to do. Just pitch some more yeast, some more yeast. Yeah. Yeah, because it was still way too sweet. I mean, it should have performed much better than it did.
Right.
But again, I was trying a new yeast too, so it may not be up to my standards.
Yeah, I ordered some. This is from a batch that I started. I got the notes somewhere. I'm pretty sure I started like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I just stole a little bit from it to give it a little bit of taste to see where we're at right now. And I'm
You know what? Hold on, don't you done stop it.
And I'm impressed with it so far. And I already know what I'm gonna do to finish it off. Some good stuff.
Yep. This one was one of my experiments. I don't know if you can see really well, but it's purple.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's really nice. It's very nice.
What kind of juice did you use? What kind of juice did you use?
What did I use in this one? Peach.
Peach. Nice. Yeah, Patricia Roberts, get your wine making kit. Matter of fact, okay, yeah. Guava. Cheers.
Guava, my friend.
Yes. I'm about to do well, I'm not gonna say I'm about to. I will do a video on using some Tractor Supply buckets because I have a really big batch of juice coming in that is specific for making a very specific wine. I don't know if you guys remember, Amarones or Repassos or some of my favorite wines. So I ordered the juice to do those from a brewery or a brewery shop place. So, but the batches are coming in. They're like 6-gallon jugs of juice. So I'll have a whole bunch of 2-gallon ones. And I'm like, well, I got these Tractor Supply food grade containers. I'm just gonna go back and get the lids and I'm gonna, lead farmer it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it happen. When it's cold out, I put a plant starter mat under my fermenter bucket to keep it warm. Okay. Well, my wife keeps it hot enough in this house that I don't think I need it.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. I put a heater mat underneath just to keep it warm.
Great info. Cool. Nice shirt, Rob. Comfortable shirt, but no success with the product for me. What's up, Aiden? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Aiden.
Hydroponics, man. I know. Okay. You and I have discussed our how that product worked out for us, but the shirt is comfy. Shirt is super comfy.
Yeah. Well, if you're ready to get started, we can kind of just jump into the topic if you would like.
Yeah, let's do it.
The premise of this part one is to help demystify hydroponics and what it really is. In my opinion, the manufacturers and the corporations try to hype it up to be more than what it really is, to make you spend more money. And I'll dive more into that a little bit later. But in a nutshell, all hydroponic is replacing your soil with water. That's it. Just like you have to feed your soil that feeds your plant, you have to feed the water so it can feed your plant. No different. You have to make sure there's enough nutrition in your soil for your plant. Same with the water. What gets tricky is that those same nutrients that are going in the soil, that soil is a conduit to help break it down for the plant. And then your rainwater or your regular water, helps it uptake. Yep. With hydroponics, you are getting rid of the middleman, and you're giving those nutrients directly to the plant via water. So you have to be a little bit more careful with the amount of nutrition you give your plant, because just as if you overfeed in the soil, you can burn your plants. It's easier to burn your plants in water because it's going directly to the roots.
That makes sense.
All right. Now there are different ways to accomplish this. So you have your deep water culture, you have your NTF, you have your skimming, you have drip irrigation that they're calling hydroponics. You have aquaponics, where your fish that are living in the water are delivering nutrients to your plant. That's the only difference between hydroponics and aquaponics. Okay. Basically, an aquaponics system is giving you a 2-4. You get your fish that you can eat, and then you get your plant and salad on the side. But again, it's the fish who are giving out the waste that are uptake through your plants.
Fish fertilizer on demand.
Exactly. Yeah. So any questions up to that point, to that explanation?
I don't. Does anyone in the chat have a question up to this point? Oh, Mario Tillman. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mario. I'm like waving at everybody, so I'm thinking that they can see me.
Yeah, we'll throw it at the group. I don't have any questions. If you guys have any questions, throw them down there. And I think we're good with step one.
Okay, so I'll keep going. One of the methods that I did not put in the original list is a Kratky method. And what the Kratky method is a non-circulating method of feeding your plants. And what I mean by that is that there's no pumps moving the water around. There's no misters that are bringing up mist to your plant. It's just the plant and water, okay?
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if you've ever taken a cutting and put it in a glass of water, you've done Kratky.
I don't know hydroponics.
You didn't even know you were doing hydroponics, but that's exactly what it is. Yeah. The only difference is that the water is using minerals that are already, have been dissolved.
Wasn't gonna be able to guess that one for you.
Minerals that have been dissolved already in the water that are actually starting your plant. which is why when you put it in there and you just give it plain old tap water, those roots will shoot out because it's already got dissolved minerals in it.
That makes sense.
But after a certain time, your plant, if you leave it in the water too long without changing it out, your plant will start to deteriorate because it's used up all those minerals already. So what makes Kratky special is that you are going to put your plant in a large enough vessel that it can reach its maturity without having any water change or minimal water changes. Okay. So people tend to not understand that you don't need air circulating within the water to keep your plant alive, because that's one of the things that your plant also needs. It needs oxygen at the roots, which is why, to Robert's point, worms are the thing, because part of what their job does is help aerate the soil and help get air to your roots. Well, with a comparison deep water culture, your plant is completely submerged in water. So you have to introduce air. So you use an air pump. Okay. On the flip side, with the Kratky system, as your plant uses up the nutrients, the water level goes down. The plant itself will send out what's called air roots. And that's how it gets its oxygen out of the system. Okay. As long as you don't reintroduce water to those air roots, your plant is fine. You just got to keep giving it enough nutrients as it grows the rest of its life, leave enough gap in there for its air so that the air roots will do their thing, and your plant will grow and thrive.
That's dope. So we got a question.
Yes.
Muriel Tillman, she said, I've done a little hydro in the past.
Yay.
I was stumped when it came to topping up my nutrient mix due to evaporation and/or nutrient depletion. Any suggestions?
Yes. Again, and I literally just spoke to this. When you're topping up your nutrients, and this is, we'll get into that on part 2 when we're actually looking to put the actual kit together. You don't want to put so much nutrient in that you're putting your air roots underwater, because you're drowning your plant. So for example, you're going to leave about 1 to 2 inches worth of roots showing. Gotcha. In your system once it gets down to that part. I mean, when you initially start, you're going to start it kind of hot, Yeah. So as the plant uses up the nutrients and it gets this air coming in, it's going to like, oh, I can breathe. I don't need gills anymore. I can breathe, and it'll send out these air roots. So as long as you don't reintroduce those air roots to water, your plant will be fine. So I tend to put like maybe 2/3, fill it up to about 2/3 and leave 1/3 gap for the air roots.
Now,
that answers your question.
Right, I think you hit on the head there. Now, do the air roots look any different from regular roots, or we just
a little bit?
Okay.
A little bit. They look like it almost looks like your roots have a fungus on it. They're very, very, very fine.
I know what that looks like. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Very furry, and those are the air roots.
You see those roots when if you've ever tried to propagate mint, take a mint cutting, the top of the mint will do that. And I never knew what that was.
Yes, those are air roots.
And those are air roots. So that lets me know in the future, because I think I've slowed up the cuttings progress by filling up too much water. I smothered it.
Yep.
So that's good to know. Lena Backyard's Homestead says, she said she did it with watermelon vine, had watermelons all over her porch. I had water. I add water when needed, but I use rainwater that I collected. I wish I could send you a picture. I wish you could too. If you find one.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. A lot of people love hydroponics because it does encourage faster growth, because again, you bypass that middleman of the soil having to break down the nutrients. You're actually using a water soluble, immediately available nutrient to your plant.
Right.
So they'll grow faster, they'll grow bigger, stuff like that.
Depending on Stardust's question is, do you recommend dwarf plants for hydroponics? So
It depends.
it depends on how much space you have. So for us, you see me right behind me, you see the clearance that I have, which is about 3 feet. So I need to make sure that at the maturity of my plant, for my light system, it needs to stay within that realm. And really it needs to only get about 2 feet tall, because I don't want it to get too close to the lights, and I gotta leave space for the containers themselves. But if you have a room this size and you got setups like, if you go and see I think CB's
Yes.
hydroponics or whatever, I don't remember the
CB greenhouse.
Hydroponics greenhouse hydroponics or something like that.
Something like that. Green. Sorry, CB. I know you're part of the community and we just jacked your whole name up, but we love you.
We're mentioning you, but he has a whole greenhouse dedicated to hydroponics. His system is insane. He's introducing.
Yeah, he's using what's called, well, one of the things he does do cracking, but the primary thing that he's doing in his greenhouse is called a Dutch bucket system. And what that is are 5-gallon buckets, and then you have a net pot that sits inside the bucket, filled with like perlite or vermiculite, something like that, very, very loose non-soil. Right. Your plant grows in there, and then the water, your nutrient water, floods over the plant at a certain amount of time, and then runs back out. Right. And then it kind of circulates this way. It's like at 5 o'clock, water the plant, come back out. Right. 10 o'clock, water the plant, comes back out. Right. And those roots in that system can get ridiculous too. Those are perfect for your larger vegetables. And that's going to talk to what the question that Star posted. Right. It depends on the capacity of your water vessel, the size of your plant. So it usually takes about 1 gallon to a foot of growth. So you can use 1 gallon of nutrient and set it up cracky and grow a head of lettuce with no problem. Same with dwarfs. A little bit onto tomato. You may have to top the tomatoes off a little bit, but for the most part, most dwarf size vegetables, 1 gallon will do it. Once you start getting into full size vegetables, like your tomatoes and your peppers and things like that, you need gallons of water to support them, because think about it, they have to go months in the ground before they even start to fruit. So you're going to have to give them months of liquid nutrient to support them. There's this one guy on YouTube that I like to follow. His name is Peter Stanley. I think that's his last name. Okay. And he took a 66-gallon drum, cut a hole in it, put a net pot, put a pepper in it. By the time that pepper got to fruition, the roots were as tall as he was.
Wow.
You have to go look it up. It was his pepper experiment. And I don't think he ever topped off the water because he had so much in there. I mean, like 66 gallons. But by the time he was done, it was hardly like that much water, but he had peppers for days. Okay. And again, like I said, the roots were almost as tall as he was by the time it got done. So, yeah, it really just does depend on what you're growing, how much it needs, how much attention you want to pay to it, because it's not to say that you can't grow it in a smaller container, but the size will dictate how much work you have to do. So, for example, I love growing in these little mason jars here because they're just cute. But I have to work more often because they're only, well, that one's a 32. I don't even plan on that one anymore, but I did get 64. That's a half a gallon. So I'm going to have to change that water at least once, depending on what I'm growing, you know. I did invest in some gallon size jars now, so I can actually grow a full head of lettuce without touching it at all. These small tomatoes, dwarf tomatoes, I should be able to do that without touching them at all. Not as cute, but less work for me.
Hey, Gigi,
I do know the common, I do know the common size that most people will tell you to use, and that's just a 5-gallon bucket.
Right, because it can handle most plants. That makes sense.
Handles most plants.
Right. In Lena's Backyard Homestead, I dropped our emails in there so you can shoot us over those wonderful pictures.
Thank you. Thank you.
Said something about clay pellets. I'm guessing that's an option.
I'm sorry.
Moriel Tillman, she said clay pellets. She just
okay. That's your growing medium.
And what's the name of the channel again?
Name of my channel?
The channel for the guy that you were referencing about the pepper plant.
Oh, it's Peter Stanley.
Peter Stanley.
Yeah. Yeah, and I believe that's his last name. I know his first name is Peter. If you do a Google search for Kratky peppers, he will show up. Yeah, and you're going to find like if you really are into this and you start searching for folks on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of different people doing it a lot of different ways. But kind of jumping back to what I said in the beginning, there's no one way to do this. The only thing you need to do is find a way that is best for you to get those nutrients to that plant so it can live its life. Okay, so don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's just another method she's talking about. The plant will sit in a mesh basket with clay pellets. That's cool. Nature 9 and family. Hey, how you doing? Said hi, greetings, Miss Craft and Turf. The channel you spoke about before, Peter, you said he was part of the family. You messed up his name. No, that was CG. We're talking about
CB.
Oh, yes. Dang, I done messed up. CB's hydroponic. Let me just search them real quick.
Now, yeah, CB Greenhouse and Garden, I think is what it is.
Greenhouse. And yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
My memory's not so bad after all. Yeah, he's an awesome dude, and he'll poke his head in on some of our lives from time to time. And he's a big component on doing everything hydroponic because it gives great results and so quickly.
He's actually building a brand new greenhouse right now. If you're interested in doing that, you got the materials and the machinery that it requires to do it, and you want to do it, then go for it. But he's building he's doing his last greenhouse. This is his last alley-oop to build a greenhouse from scratch. So
yeah,
I think he's on part 3 right now.
So it's awesome there.
Next step.
Okay, so talking about what's the thing that separates hydroponics from soil again, all plants do need some kind of support. So again, that's where the soil will come in. It helps support the base of the plant as it grows. So as it grows down, the roots like embed and wander and wind its way through the soil for support. That bit of stem that's sitting in the soil that also helps support it. The idea of using something like the clay pebbles or perlite or things like that, it just replaces the soil in that way. They are non-soil supports. So as you put your plant into the non-soil, the roots are going to go down. It's going to go beyond those because the soil, the clay pebbles are contained in a little bitty thing like this, no bigger than that, and call a net pot, as for one example. And the roots will kind of grow down, and the clay pebbles just offer support for the young plant as it gets its roots and its bearings. Once it gets to some size, again, depending on what you're growing, dwarfs can pretty much stand on their own. If you're growing things like cucumbers, large peppers, large tomatoes, just like you would have to support them outside, you would have to find a way to support them inside, whether you tie them up, put cage around them, anything like that. It's basically the same. It's just one is a living organism and another one is not.
Exactly. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
Yep. Any questions on that?
Nah, they're just in here chatting and talking about. So Starduster says she has net pots. Moriel Tillman was saying yes, like a medium.
Yes.
And I was like, yep, perfect. That's exactly it. So
yep, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, a medium. That's right.
It's a medium.
So, right. So that's perfect. It seems like everyone's, you know, they're tracking, they're up to speed. That's great.
Okay. Okay. So the basic steps for following a plant when you're doing hydroponics is to first get your plant started.
Right.
You don't really have, well, I started to say something that wasn't untrue. I take that back. You want to get your plant to a point of where it has its first true leaves. The point before that, the seed has everything it needs to feed it. Okay, right. So you don't need to introduce any nutrients to it at that point.
Makes sense.
Once it gets its first set of true leaves, just like you do in the spring and getting your plants ready to go outside, now it's time to start feeding your plant. And again, you're going to see a lot of parallels between what we do, you know, inside versus outside, or should I say soil versus non-soil. You don't want to bombard your seedling with a heavy amount of feeding, because again, it's just starting to, you know, get its feet into what's going on with its life. You know, you don't want to go from water straight to scotch. You need to like step it into it, like, you know, you need some beer in between glass of wine. Then you shoot for the scotch.
Baby steps, baby steps. That makes
baby
sense.
Steps.
Yeah.
All right. So now your plant has its true leaves and it's ready to go into a light version of the nutrition. So that's when you can actually introduce your plant into your hydroponic system, whether it's a net pot into a Kratky system or into a deep water culture system or into an aquaponic system. It does not matter at that point. Once your plant is established, it's really going, you know, there is no melt back on it. You know, the plant like, okay, I get it. I know what I'm supposed to do. That's when you can start stepping up to a full strength solution of fertilizer. Right. You're going to see the word nutrients and fertilizer used interchangeably because they're one and the same. Again, when I said in the beginning that, you know, there's people have a vested interest on making hydroponics seem more than it really is, they tend to use the word nutrients. Because if you say fertilizer, you'll look at them and say, well, I got tons of fertilizer. Why do I need this? Same thing. Okay. So let me explain what goes into those nutrients. Well, you know, are we good? Are we good?
No question. Lena, she sent us the picture.
Awesome. I can't wait to see those.
Yeah.
So what goes into those fertilizers, nutrition, all of that are your 5 elements. 3 of them are if you grow anything, you know at least 3 of them. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK, okay? Every fertilizer will have those 3, okay? There are 3 more that a plant needs that were called, they're still macronutrients, but they're not readily talked about because they're so available in nature. So they don't really need to be added unless something's really wrong with your soil. And what that is calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. And I like the way Robin's shaking his head because he just learned all this. Yeah. For this class. So you stop me when I mess up, okay?
Yeah, that was actually a question on the test that I did yesterday. So
there you go.
Fresh on the brain, fresh on the brain. If everybody didn't know, I had my last class for Master Gardener's course last night. All I gotta do is do the 3-hour test.
Awesome. Awesome. You got this. You live this. So it's no big deal. Okay. So like I said, every fertilizer will have those 3. Whether it just depends on the concentration of those 3. The other 3 you may have to add depending on a couple of things. It doesn't hurt to add them, but let me keep going. Let me start with the most obvious, and that's calcium. Anyone who's ever had to deal with blossom end rot in your garden understands the importance of calcium in your soil. The problem with just throwing calcium in your soil, you know, it needs to break down. It's not readily available. You have to do things to it to get your plant to take it up, which is why most of us really do, who've ever had, you know, experienced that experience. It's not that the soil didn't have the calcium, something else was going on in the soil that kept it from the plant.
Okay. Locked up.
It's locked up. Keep that term in your mind, because that's going to be real important when it comes to hydroponics.
Yeah.
Okay. Same with magnesium. Not too many people need to add it. It doesn't hurt to add it. If you're not sure what it is, it's your Epsom salt. If you hear people talking about they're making their wonderful juju juice and they throw Epsom salt in there, that's the magnesium that they're throwing into the mix. Okay. So again, it's pretty readily in the soil, but it doesn't hurt to add more. It's a good mineral to have. Yeah. Sulfur, you don't want to be messing with it because it stank to high heaven.
Rotten eggs.
Rotten eggs. But it is plentiful in the atmosphere, unfortunately. And the reason why I say that is because it's part of a carbon emission that we put into the air. Mm-hmm. That's one of the off gases that we put out there. And sulfur, you know, dissolves into the rainwater and rains back down into our drinking water, into our, you know, our plants and things like that. So unless you live in a bubble, you're going to have sulfur, no problem. So that's one thing you're not going to have to worry about. Right. But I will say there is a little bit of sulfur in with your Epsom salt. So again, that's covered, right? So if you are able to get those 6 elements to your plant will thrive. Yep. With the caveat, you got to get it in the measurement that it likes. You know, yep. Tomatoes like things a little bit different than lettuce and so on and so forth. But and you know, just high level, top of top, if you get those 6 in there in your water, you're good. Yep. Okay. Now, talk just a little bit more about the calcium and getting it in your water. If you have hard water out of your taps, more times than not, you are pretty good with your calcium, you know, supply in the water. You don't really have to add anything. Yep. Again, if you can take a cutting, put it in some water and it roots, your water's probably fine. You probably don't need to add any. There are people who have soft treated water where they're pulling a lot of those minerals out, you know, so your soap will lather up. No. But those are the ones who have to kind of pay attention to how their plants are reacting to their nutrients or their you know, fertilizer water, and determine if they need to add calcium to it. Again, just like you would with your blossom end rod, your plant will tell you what it needs. Yep. Are we good up to that point?
Yeah, we're good. I'd like to add, you know, without the sulfur, a lot of times, even within your garden, if you don't have the presence of sulfur, that could be your issue while you're having an issue uptaking the nutrients, especially nitrogen, when you're doing leafy vegetables. So yep. those micro macro nutrients that we just discussed are critical, and things that help you figure that out when you're struggling in your garden, in your soil, whether it be containers or in the ground, is a soil test. Contact your local extension office. They'll get you squared away. And then you can take that soil test right back to them and they'll help you interpret them. So,
yep. Yeah. Yep. Now, Robert brought up a topic called lockout. Yep. When it comes to hydroponics, the thing that would cause your lockout is a extremely high or extremely low pH. Okay, it's the pH balance in the water, just like your pH balance in your soil, that helps dictate how that plant will uptake its nutrients. Like one of the plants that I know a lot of people struggle with are blueberries, because they like a more acidic soil. That means that pH has to be on the lower end. A lot of plants start failing if their soil is too alkaline, so the number is a little too high. So again, like Robert was saying, a soil test will let you know exactly where your pH is and what nutrients you are lacking. With hydroponics, there is a pH meter that you can use to check how your water is. And to me, again, personal, your drinking water in and of itself should let you know what pH is going on already. If you take showers and you come out really itchy and dry, you may want to check your pH. It may be too low. Or things like that. You kind of know what's going on with your own water. If you can drink it without any problems, more times than not, you are starting off fine. Where the pH starts to get a little weird in hydroponics is when your plant starts drinking up the nutrients out of the water. Okay. The plant is going to uptake what it needs when it needs it, so it needs to be available. As it leaves what it doesn't behind, those are salts that they leave behind. All of these elements are salts. Salts will adjust the pH, so you have to be mindful as your plant is growing to pay attention to what it looks like, and it will tell you if it's not getting the nutrients it needs. It will just kind of look like it's just wilting over, and no matter how much water you have in there, it's just going to like, I just can't. And if that's the case, you're going to want to check your pH just to see if that's the problem, because that's an easy fix. All you have to do is just kind of rinse your plant again. And matter of fact, I have a video on that where you just kind of, put the plant out of any kind of nutrient, so it can just rinse itself out, fast, if you will, and then reintroduce it to clean, fresh nutrients so it can start uptaking its nutrients again. Again, that usually does not become a problem unless your water vessel is too small for the plant and it's just drinking up too quickly, or it's getting towards the end of what it's trying to do and needs to have water replaced. The Kratky system is supposed to be like a set it and forget it kind of a thing. I don't really follow that rule too much. I think fresh nutrients from time to time will help your plant. Okay. Now, as far as, am I going too fast? Are we good? Are we all right?
We're good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, as far as the balance of your elements, again, your calcium, magnesium, and sulfur, scant amounts. Like I said, just enough that there's some in there. But the NPK, when it comes to hydroponics, you want a really strong root system compared to heavy green leaves, because it's the root system that's providing all of the work. There's no soil to assist it. So you're going to need strong seeds, strong roots. So when you're looking for a nutrient setup, you're going to probably want to have your phosphorus a little bit higher than everything else. But you don't need very high numbers. Again, because it's getting its nutrition straight on, you don't need a high concentration of any three of these. Like a 5-5-5 would be perfect. A 3-4-3, anything like that. You really want to stay at the 5. Or if you have a soluble that you really, really love and it does wonders for your stuff outside, just measure it in such a way where you're reducing the power of it to about half or maybe even a quarter strength. Okay.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, good. I think we're at a good point to answer some of these questions.
Okay.
Nature 9 and family, I've heard you can boil eggs and get the calcium from that water. Is that true? Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Let me explain. When you boil those eggs, will it release calcium? Sure, it will. Is it the adequate amount that your plant needs? Probably not. But what it's also doing is speeding up the process of it to biodegrade, go through its process to be in a readily available source that your plant can actually uptake. So can you boil them, crunch them up, and put them in the soil? Yeah. Is it completely necessary? I don't think so. I've seen people pulverize them, like grind them up. I think that that would probably speed up the process, but the process of the microorganisms actually munching on them and then their actual waste is the nutrient available, plant available way that the plant prefers to be able to ingest it. Also,
Right.
boil them is going to be rapidly, just like it's going to release really fast. So it's not going to hang out in the soil, which means like the plant may not have enough time to grab that nutrient and digest it and go back to it later. The preferred method of grinding up those eggshells, putting and working them in your soil, like you saw a lead, he just took all the eggs and dumped them in a hole and covered it back up.
Yes.
That works. It will work. The protein in the yolk, the egg, all that stuff will just break down those microorganisms and get after it, and it will stay in the soil for some time. It won't just be
Right.
released. So can you do it? Yes. Will it have an effect that you can actually see? I'm going to argue that it won't, depending on the plant and how much that it needs. So I say you could skip that step, save yourself some time, crush them up, ground them up, and just work them in your soil over time. Gigi's natural.
Wait, hold on. Let me tag on to that a little bit.
Okay.
When you are using things like eggshells and stuff like that in your garden, that would be considered a non-soluble mineral that's going into your soil. Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to cracky, everything has to be insoluble. Soluble, excuse me. It has to be soluble because it doesn't have time to sit and wait for things to break it down. As far as as far as being able to use eggs in and create a soluble calcium, if you are into chemistry, you can use some kind of mild acid, like vinegar. That will break it down, but you have to be careful with the ratio because you don't want to make it too acidic because, like we said before, if that acid pushes your water out of range for the plant, it's not going to take it up anyway. Similar to what he was saying, if those nutrients, those microorganisms in the soil don't want that egg, they're not going to break it down. Your plant ain't going to get it. It ain't happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's another one.
Another good
go ahead, next.
Moriel Tillman, she said, are we checking specific gravity in this system? I told her I don't think so, but we'd ask you. No.
Don't complicate it. The only time I bring those out is if something's really wrong and I can't figure it out. And like I said, most times it's once you start getting to know your plants, they're going to tell you what's wrong. If they're too green, that's too much potassium. If they're light in color, that's not enough nitrogen. You just got to learn to talk to your plants, ask them what they need. But it's good to know. It's good to know, like maybe for your first couple of go rounds to test your water and get a feel of what your water does. What is the pH before you put your nutrients in? What's the pH after you put your nutrients? What's the pH maybe a couple of weeks after, you start getting some growth? So you have those numbers in your head for your system, then you won't really have to do it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. The next question is there an affordable meter to determine what nutrient we need to replace in our system? I can't answer that question for you right here. All I have is a pH meter. I don't think we need that. I've seen CB use a meter like that where it goes parts per millions. But I'm not sure if we actually need that during this method. We don't, do we?
No, not really. It's nice to know. Some people may argue me down, but just like you don't measure, you measure the amount of nutrients that are going into your soil, you're going to do the same thing here. It's not until your plants start doing something a little funky that, again, to me, the most natural thing to do is to throw it in some water, let it flush itself out, and then give it some fresh nutrients. Like I said, it doesn't really matter what mix it is that you're putting in your water. The plant is only going to take what it wants.
Right. What's going on, Pusher? That's my brother over there, my Mo bro from the lawn care community. Popped in, push it to the limit. I love it. Push it to the limit. What was the next question? Hold up, wait. Ooh, what'd I do? I clicked something. All right, go back. How do you watch? Do you watch Homestead Heart? Of course we watch Homestead Heart.
Of course we watch Homestead Heart.
Stop it. Stop it, thing. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
That was actually that homeschool life. She's pretty cool too. I guess she went live and accidentally clicked the button.
Oh, okay. Hi, homeschool life. We got to check her out later.
We didn't answer the question, I guess, but do you know of an affordable meter for her to look into?
Amazon has. Well, let me ask this: are you asking a meter that's going to measure the exact nutrients that are in there? I don't know of an inexpensive one, because now you're talking like, what's the thing that we do in one retrofactor things type of thing where you put your sample in there, take it to the lab and all that. Now, they do have ECC readers, which are really, really cheap. And that just lets you know how much soluble is in the water. And then you also have your pH meter. Both of those are relatively cheap. I think both of them are under $10. If you want to get them there from Amazon. I'm sure you can get them even cheaper off of eBay or something like that. Maybe even cheaper at a Walmart or someplace like that, one of those stores you can walk into, or garden centers that you can walk into. But yeah, they're inexpensive. They're not expensive at all.
Right, Stardust says from any vegetable that I boil and pour in my compost. Yeah, do that. I mean, it's not gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And different, like everything's not like eggs. So eggs, you got to understand, like she said, it's in an insoluble state. When you're talking about boiling or making a super juice like Aunt Linda does over at New Orleans Gardener, those things are more readily, they're already in a state where that'll be more readily available to your plants. But when you're talking about an egg shell, that thing is not, it's going to take some time. That's all. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, you're pretty much, feeding your soil in advance of growing in your soil. Right. When you do something like that.
Loving the information. Oh, you shared it to your Facebook. Thanks, Starduster. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Pickle juice, don't throw it away. It helps, but I dilute it. Most of us from the greenhouse lounge support each other in the community. That's true. I just saved my pickle juice in the fridge for muscle cramps.
Yeah, pickle juice is great for muscle cramps. Yeah, it's like Gatorade.
Yeah.
It really is.
What kind of nutrients that are different from using those for soil? And it's kind of like we were talking about, our solubles and insolubles is the difference.
Yes, that's the only difference. And oops, my battery is low. Hold on. I'm talking off camera because I gotta go get plugged. But yeah, that's the only difference as far as nutrients are concerned. Oh shoot, hold on.
We couldn't hear you. You start back from the top.
There we go. Sorry about that. I was saying that the only difference really is soluble versus insoluble. Matter of fact, you still have to use some sort of insoluble. Oh shoot, I forgot my thing. Okay, never mind. I'm so put together that you the difference. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Focus. Okay. Even outside in your regular garden, when you start your season off, one of the things you're going to do is fortify your soil with insoluble nutrients or what's the word I'm looking for, Robert?
Release fertilizers. Is that what you're referring to?
Oh, I mean fertilizers, stuff like that, but it'll come to me. You're trying to upgrade your soil, basically what I'm trying to say. But that, releases slowly over time, like we've been saying, earlier. What you have to do weekly, or you're supposed to, is feed your plants with a soluble solution, your fish fertilizer, your aqua bloom and all of those other things that you mix in with water, your banana water, your vegetable water that Star talked about, all of that are soluble, you know, nutrients. I'm sorry?
Worm tea,
yeah.
my worm tea.
Yes, worm tea, you know, all of that, you know, helps give your plants nutrients while it's waiting for the soil to, and you'll give it more, you know, to support it. Yeah. So, okay, that battery's gonna die. So, yeah, that's the difference. With the hydroponics is concerned, there's no room for soluble fertilizers. There's nothing that's going to break it down. There's no microorganisms or anything like that. There's no need for it. Your plant is just taking it up directly. Exactly. So if you have a system that's outside and want to use fish fertilizer, go ahead. I wouldn't suggest it because you'll have a house full of cats. But that smell will linger, you know. But I know it. But I know it's like super juice, you know. So plants will grow like nuts in that. One of the things that Lady 511, she uses molasses. That's sulfur. Okay. Again, if you're into making your own calcium water using a little bit of acid, your vinegar, something like that, there's your calcium that you put in there. Worm tea, kelp. I mean, these are the things that you can use if you're trying to go in an organic way of doing things. Right. As far as being inside, again, you're gonna want to kind of, you know, pay attention to what organic things you use because you don't want your house to smell.
Exactly. That's true. Starduster, she has 2 other questions. So the first question is a 2-part question. She bought the blends of nutrients. She got Master Blend at 41838 and calcium nitrate 1500, I think, or 15.500, or maybe 50 is what it's supposed to be. In addition, she also said she said, what do you think about those blends? And then she says she also blends banana water, coffee grounds, and mint, and she uses that in the garden. I think that's an excellent blend. That's plenty of bananas give you plenty of potassium. Yeah, bananas give you plenty of potassium. Your coffee grounds are giving you plenty of nitrogen. Yep. And your mint, I mean, that's an organic material. I'm not sure what nutrients it's releasing, if any.
Probably more nitrogen. That's a green.
Probably more. It's a green. So yeah. So it's not bad. You definitely want to work you some phosphorus in there.
Yeah, you got to have the phosphorus if you're going to be using something organic in hydroponics, because, like I said, that root system has to be strong. Right. Now, you don't want to overdo it because your plant doesn't like that either. Right. But you know, you definitely kind of want that more on the higher end.
Right. And CB's greenhouse garden hydroponics, I know I'm butchering it. CB's greenhouse and garden, boom. He uses Master Blend all the time. That's his number one go-to.
Yeah, that is like the standard when it comes to most people in Kratky. They will go with the Master Blend. You do have to measure it because, again, you don't want to use too much. If you notice the numbers that she gave, they're pretty high, you know, so you're going to be using like grams of that stuff to gallons of water. I like I said, my brain doesn't work too well sometimes because it's tired. So I'd rather use something not as expensive, something liquid that I can measure in teaspoons and, you know, stuff like that. And I would let you in on a little secret, and I'll probably be like, well, I will lose my gardener's card for it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. One of the best grows I've ever had was using Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow and calcium magnesium.
Yeah. So what we got? We got coffee grounds. I use the molasses. Yeah, I use the grandma's unsulfured molasses. As well. I use that in my my worm cast tea. I use it. That's food for the new microorganisms, not necessarily phosphorus, but the new microorganisms, I'm gonna do a video on it here soon, probably go live and walk y'all through it. But what I really get after with my worm castings is the microorganism activity. That's what I'm,
Yes.
that's what I want. Now I know I'm getting plenty of phosphorus and potassium out of that as well. But I know for the main part, I want those microorganisms because I grow in containers, and growing in the containers makes it hard for you to keep your soil fresh because it's not in the soil. So you kind of remove the natural state of doing this thing. So
Yeah.
the next question is
Yeah.
Natural sources for what stuff is good for phosphorus. So if I'm correct, bananas, I believe, can give you quite a bit of phosphorus.
Yes. I want to say kelp, or is that the?
Well, I think she's looking for ways of like stuff that maybe she's growing already that she can be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think kelp would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, kelp probably does have a good bit of phosphorus.
I'm gonna tell you in just a second.
Because kelp is used a lot to promote root development. So maybe there's a natural phosphorus in there as well. I'm sure a quick Google will help you out. Might have it ran off with the kelp. Yeah, kelp. What would be natural phosphorus? So yeah, just I'd say go to the Google machine and look to see what they give you. But I know right off the bat, I'm thinking phosphorus is probably plentiful in bananas as well. So when I did the soil test on my worm castings, and I was, a little low on my nitrogen, but I had plenty of phosphorus.
Yeah, this is balanced.
And I know kelp is used to stimulate roots. So, but you don't necessarily, you're not growing kelp in your garden, and the specific type of kelp they use is not the kelp that you would even grow at home. It's a very specific.
Right. Matter of fact, I have this kelp here that I like to use.
Yeah.
And what is it? Kelp extract.
Legs. No, your kelp.
Chlorea vulgaris something. Yeah, there's like about six or seven different types of kelp in this one bottle. So yeah, it's all that sea kelp.
Yeah, you should be good, Starduster. I'd say you're good. Yeah, cool. All right, so I think we got all the questions that popped up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all the questions, so we can get.
Okay, so I think we've touched on all of the high points about hydroponics in and of itself. Now we'll dive into getting started. If you are ready, we're going to start our seeds and show you how easy it is. I'll also talk to you the different ways of starting your seeds. You don't have to necessarily do it the way that we are doing it. Like I said, unfortunately, my phone died and I forgot to bring my attachment. I can't zero in on my table, but
I'll show you as much.
I'm trying to figure out why I tag him along with me, because he's like my super backup.
Teamwork make the dream work, people. So we about to get your hydroponics game on point. And if you want more info, bone meal. Bone meal would be a good source, but
it's not soluble. It's insoluble.
It's not soluble. That's an insoluble. It's going to take. It needs to go through another process, broken down by those microorganisms, and then pretty much their waste is what becomes readily available to the plant.
Right. Like I said, you're really going to want to look for a soluble type of fertilizer to use, whether it's chemical based, which is fine. Don't let anybody tell you anything different.
Right.
Or a natural one like your worm tea that you make yourself if you get a 360 like we got, right, Robert?
Yeah, so blood meal Starduster, it has, I think blood meal does have, I think blood meal is like a 1240. I don't know why that's
that's definitely nitrogen. Right. And your bone with your bone meal would be your
right. Yeah. And I think bone meal has nitrogen in it too, but I think it's like a 4240 or 420 or something like that. That's the better balance for that phosphorus when you're talking about bone meal. Yeah.
But if you want to make up your own, you're going to have to take those, put them in a jar with maybe a little bit of acid to help break them down, a lot of water, and let it sit until you don't see it anymore. Right. So yeah, I mean, for outside, excellent. For what we're doing here, not so much.
Right.
Okay.
This is what I'm using to start my season, guys. I'm using, mouthwash, Dixie cups, things. That's what I'm going to use. I start seeds different ways. Like I got my starter packs up here. Depending on the plant, I might use something this size. This is a Swedish, what is it called? Something ivy. I think it's called a Swedish ivy. It's not even really a true ivy or anything, but it's not from Sweden either. The name is elusive.
Looks like a peso.
I'm gonna use these. That's what I'm gonna use.
And I'm gonna use a leftover Chinese dinner tray. Easy peasy. I do have other videos on my channel of me starting seeds several different ways. So this is not the end all be all. What's our mantra? Learn the why, tweak the how. So this video is giving you the why we do what we do when we're doing it. But now we're getting into the how, and we're going to put our own little spin on it. Okay. Something I just said, and I think I need to clarify that as far as the chemical fertilizers and not making a big deal out of it. I'm not trying to downplay them at all and what they're doing to the environment. But things like Miracle Grow and stuff like that have to be at such a huge scale for it to cause damage. And that is runoff that's happening from your in-ground gardens. What we do is such a small amount, and especially if you're nowhere near any water or near a water table of some sort, it really doesn't matter. The soil will absorb it before it has a chance to run off. Things like Miracle Grow, the reason why these big industrial people use them, not only because they're paid for, but they work. There's no arguing, they work. Okay, so I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. I just want you to be educated, and when you say no, you know why you're saying no.
Exactly.
Okay? Makes sense? I hope that makes sense.
Right, and chemicals, like Master Blend, it has silica in it, I believe.
Yep.
Which is why a lot of people don't use it, but at the same time, silica's in your toothpaste. So
it works. I mean, even when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, those are chemicals. It's just whether they've been, synergized or not. That's really what it boils down to, and concentrated.
Carbon chain in it or not.
Yeah. So with that, what we're going to do is, because of the way we're going to be doing our hydroponics, we are going to grow or start our seeds in a very, very loose medium. Who said medium? Thank you. That's in my head now. Appreciate you. We are using a combination of Pure Light and vermiculite. The vermiculite helps with the moisture retention, and the perlite helps with the aeration. Okay. The reason why we're working in such a loose medium is because we are going to look to take these seedlings out, and we need to be able to cause the least amount of damage to their roots when we do. And a soil like a soilless soil like this will help facilitate that. The reason why the reason why we are doing that is because we are not going to be using net pellets, and we are not using rock wool, and we are going to be, I think you had some out just a second ago, Robert. We're going to be using pool noodles.
Yes, here's one right here. Boom.
Yeah. And what that does, remember I told you, all the medium is doing is giving support to the plant, so it doesn't flop over or anything like that. Once the plant is of the right size, we're going to stick that in that pool noodle. We're going to clamp it down, and then we can pop it right into our Kratky system, and it'll grow that way. So the reason why I've gone this direction, you can also find rubber pucks. I think they're called collars or something like that. Plant collars, something like that. Anyway, you can find the same thing, or you can get a pool noodle for $1 and chop you up some. The reason why I'm going this way is because 1, they're cheap. 2, they're cheap. 3, they're cheap. And 4, they're reusable. Yeah, they're reusable. You can use them often. With the net cups, even though you have to use it, you can use a net cup over and over and over and over again. The medium that you put in the net cup will have to be replaced or rinsed a couple of times, and eventually it will, expire. These won't expire. You can have them for decades. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm moving the direction that we're moving on that. Okay, so once you have your medium mixed
50-50
together, excuse me?
Yep. I said 50-50. Equal parts of vermiculite to perlite, if you're wondering.
Yep. Then what you're going to want to do, Robert, is go ahead and put your cups, fill your cups up with it.
I'm gonna get some holes in them first.
Oh, that's right. You're doing the water up. You're going to wick yours. Okay. What he's doing at this point, or getting ready to do, is called a wicking system. Matter of fact, I did that on one of my videos when I was showing you how to seed start. I started them in the net pot with combination of clay pebbles and coca coir. I planted the seed in the coca coir, and then I left the clay pebbles to wick up the water to the seed. And then I had all of them sitting in a tray, and then that water will wick up into it. It's very similar to those peekaboo cups that lead likes to do. You put your cup, put your holes around the metal, and put them inside another cup that you keep your water in, so it wicks up to the plant. That's actually another form of hydroponics, where you can create a bed of your soilless medium, have holes underneath, have that sitting in another tub that has your nutrients in it, and it'll wick up to your plants. So that's another way that you can do hydroponics. Like I said, the idea, and whatever way you got to do it, is to figure out a way to support that plant and get nutrients to it. That's it. In fact, I challenge some of y'all to go out and find a brand new way of doing it and call it something that you want.
And I love doing the wicking as well, because it encourages your roots to drive deep.
Yes.
And it's harder for you as a beginner, and myself being a beginner with pretty much everything I've done this year, to not overwater and then be left with fungus gnats. Now, I don't know if fungus gnats would even like this environment, because it's not a environment like peat moss or coca coir would be.
That's one of the reasons why I moved away from coca coir. I had gnats and all in my house. Right. I was like,
oh, you can't see it, right? It's not in the frame, but my insect bug zapper.
Yep.
24/7, and I'll always water from underneath, let it wick up. It's a really good indication of just knowing when you need to water different things. Yes. Like I got a 2-month experiment going right now with some coffee, but it's really easy for me to just keep that dialed in. So the medium that we're using is, if you missed it, Moriel, is perlite and vermiculite, equal parts of both. Now, do I want to pre-moisten this like I would anything else?
And that is really up to you. No, I take that back. Because of the way you're going to be doing this, yes, pre-moisten. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to moisten mine. Now, there are no holes underneath this, so I have to be mindful with how much water I'm putting in here, because I don't want my seeds to drown. I just want the medium to be damp, wet enough, but not wet.
I just want to get it damp, enough moisture to where when I get my seedlings in there, they'll be happy.
Exactly. And because mine has a dome on it, it's going to get the humidity it needs. I mean, once I, water this and get the right consistency of dampness, like I said, you don't want it sopping wet, but you want it wet enough. And then the humidity within this is going to help germinate my seeds.
Yeah. And I'm going to cover mine up with something. I got something around here that I'll repurpose. And the really cool thing, or you know what I might do? I might just put them in a bag and tie the bag on it.
Yes, yes.
Because what you create is like, I can't think of the name of it right now. I got one right here, babe. Thank you. I can't think of the name right now, but you create this environment to where it just like recycles this water, and you don't have to necessarily water it until you see, well, you don't have to water it at all. Like that's what I use.
Right. You're basically making your own little rain chamber, you know?
Right, rain chamber. That's how I
That's not the right word, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I did these house plants, and I don't even know. I got plants that people just be giving me cuttings. I root them. I think this starts with a C, celosia, something like that. This is some other house plant, and then you saw the ivy over there. But that's the method I did with those. I pretty much put them in a bag, got them rooted, then I up potted them, and I'm waiting until I see roots coming down to the bottom, and then I'll up pot them again.
Right.
Like,
now all we are watering with, not all we are doing is starting our mix with water. We don't need any nutrients at the moment, because again, the seed will take care of that, and we don't want to shock it. Now,
I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's
there are
like it's holding moisture.
Yeah, you just want it to hold moisture. You don't want it to leave any moisture.
Right. So I squeeze it, nothing's coming off of it, but it's holding its form. It's holding its form when I ball it up, and then it kind of falls apart. So that's where I want it for me.
Now, this is not, again, I say this before, this is not the only way to start your seeds. You can actually start your seeds right in the net cup, and kind of set it up the way that Robert's doing it, to do like a wicking system from underneath. That's one good way if you're going to transplant directly into your system, so you don't disturb the roots. You can start your seeds directly in what's called rock wool, which is also something that's very common in the hydroponics arena. You can find them pretty cheap on Amazon. And again, that helps give support to the roots. It gives them something to root through. And then you can just kind of drop it into your system. Trying to think of another way. You can use Jiffy peat pellets to start your seeds in, and then move them into a net pot type of system. Of course, some of this water off while I'm talking. Trying to think what else you could do.
Let's see, what's this say? Excuse me. Do you use tap water? I mean, I'm sure you could. I just use some distilled water because it was handy. And I keep distilled water in here for mostly cuttings. When I'm doing cuttings, it's just, I find that when I use my tap water, it is like, it gets nasty. It's all like fungus, and it gets weird stuff in it, and it just gets all foggy. So we use the distilled water when I'm doing cuttings.
Yeah. If you will not drink your water unfiltered, then I wouldn't use it.
There you go.
If you can drink your water right out of the tap and feel fine with it, then use that. That's the way I feel about it.
I agree. So now I
really don't worry about it too much here, because I think Memphis was rated one of the cities with the best water. There's some kind of spring.
Moriel, you said you're learning to live with fungus now. Listen, if they flying around and you can't even have company over, and they that bad, this is what you need to get you right here.
Get your zapper.
I'm grabbing for you real quick. Get you one of these, right? And then you hang it where those jokers like to hang out at, and you leave it. That's what you do. And then you start watering underneath. Use a wicking type system. That way you're not. So the gnats, they like to be in that upper top layer of your medium, whatever it is. The cool thing about when you're using the system, when you're wicking like this, is that all you need to do is put enough water in there to make sure that your roots, or you're encouraging your roots to dive deeper. It's like it's the reverse way of watering deep and infrequent.
Right, and spread out. Right.
So you don't necessarily need to continue to water from the top. When you water from the top, that means your top layer soil stays nice and moist all the time. And guess what? The fungus gnats love that. So what you do is you remove the environment that they prefer, and guess what? Those jokers ain't got no option. They're going to find somewhere else to be because that's not the best environment for them. So you don't have to live with fungus gnats. Now, do we still have gnats in here? Absolutely. But do I notice them? No. I know that they're in here though, because I'll see them when I'm over here up close and personal. But for the most part, I don't have gnat problems anymore. Yeah, a terrarium. Yep, that's pretty much what.
Yes, that's exactly
I
what.
get rid of that ivy. I'd get rid of it. It's not ivy. It's not a true
pothos.
ivy.
It's like a pothos or something like that.
It's called Swedish ivy, but it's not a true ivy. It's not climbing. It doesn't climb on walls, and it's a house plant. So someone gave it to me. It looks nice. I like the way it looks, but it's not even a true ivy, so I'm not worried about it. I do my lion's mane mushroom in the bag over it to capture the moisture. Yeah, that's perfect. I've been locating some Italian green bean seeds. I looked all year, and then sometimes I start my seeds in sandwich bags with perlite that's moistened. Yeah, that's a cool little tip.
Yes, I saw someone do that, and I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, on some of my videos, I've done those little condiment cups. I've grown them in that, so they go straight up versus like sideways when you put them on plastic bags. I've done them this way before. I love my peat pellets. So I've done them that way. I mean, like, as you can see, we're all just kind of chiming in on so many different ways to accomplish the same thing. Just do what works for you. Okay.
You said you had the hardest time growing ginger. I must be reading somebody's mail right now. I haven't grown ginger. I haven't grown ginger yet myself. The bugs upper will be the next thing on my list. These gnats is trying to get the, yeah, I'm telling you, listen, you water from below. Even when I have plants like this in a container like this that's not in the cell, I'll use these little saucer pans. And that's actually what that was sitting in. I'll use this saucer pan. I'll put water in here and I'll put the plant right here in it. And it's just gonna wick up, right? And I know when I come back to it, give it a couple hours, whatever's still in that bowl, it doesn't need it. So then I just move it to the next plant. And I keep doing that until all of my plants have what they need. So I bet if you make those two changes, your population of fungus gnats will decrease dramatically. Listen, I tried everything. I tried the neem oil, hydrogen peroxide, all this stuff. That stuff kind of works, but if you change your cultural practices, which is watering in a wicking formation and throwing you a bug zapper up, your population will decrease. I promise.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Okay. So you got your cups ready?
I got my cups ready. We good.
Okay. So what we're growing, what we're going to try to attempt to grow, we're doing, what do you do? The tiny pak choi?
Yeah, this is baby bok choy. It's not the tiny one. It's not that super micro one, but this is baby bok choy. As you can see, it's Baker Creek seed. I got it in the heirloom seed collection that they sent me. So I'm going to drop 2 seeds per cup.
So doing so
because I've had success. I do 1 seed when I'm starting seeds because I do container gardening. And if the seed doesn't germinate after the prescribed times, I just drop another seed.
Right.
Because I don't want to waste a whole bunch of seeds. I don't have a lot of space, guys. So as you can see, the video that I released this week, you'll see how I'm frustrated with growing in containers. Like, I like it. It's cool. I'm having a good time. I'm getting fun off of it, but I really just want to take these plants and put them in the soil. Peas have been getting the best of me.
I also got these from Baker's Creek, and I got a tiny bok choy. Let's see if you can.
Yeah.
Tiny bok choy. Yeah. So we're gonna plant 2 of those, and I have my tray marked out because, like I said, I'm only trying to grow a few at a time. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
So they don't need to be super.
So I'm like, just a simple map. So, I know this is the back of my tray and I know where I'm putting everything. So that's how I'm keeping track of what I'm doing. So I'm going to put my tiny bok choy over here.
So as you can see, I don't know if you probably weren't able to see these seeds, and I didn't know this until this season, but bok choy is actually a brassica, guys. It's in the brassica family, much like cabbage. You would compare it to cabbage. Then
there you go. See how small they are? Yeah, they look just like regular brassica seeds.
Yep, they look like brassica seeds. So that's what you're dealing with. And I'm just
still baffles the mind that something this small can make something so big. Like they said, the faith of a mustard seed.
Right. The mustard seed. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not even getting them in there that deep. And what I'll do is as they germinate, whoever puts on their true leaves first, that's who gets the win. Whoever doesn't put on their true leaves first, guess what? You lose. So
that's right, because that means you're a weak seed.
You're
a weak seed.
You're a weak seed. You get thinned out. So that's my method. That's what I'm doing. Of course, your garden, you do your thing.
Right. But, okay. The next one I'm doing is purple lady bok choy. Those are a fave.
Fancy. That's from Baker Creek too. I know that seed package. Yeah, so that's it on that. So I'll be doing 4 of those, and we'll show you the containers we're growing in here in a minute. The other container, and this is another thing that we haven't really talked about. I'm sure it would have came up, but be careful on what plants you put together, right? So
yes, thank you.
Right. So I have a container that's going to be strictly bok choy, and I have a container that's going to be strictly tomato plants. Can anyone in the room guess why? Why am I doing that? Why am I making sure that I keep like item type plants together? And why we want to be careful what we interplant or companion plant together? Anybody got the answer? I know someone in the building got the answer to that.
Only the strongest will survive. That's right, Eco Neighbor. Hey, FR, I see you.
FR, hey, let me show you something real quick, FR. I've been waiting on you.
Uh-oh.
Got my prop sitting right here. Yeah, y'all know what that is.
FR, did you get yours? Please say you got yours.
Yeah, it's that first place right there. Yes, tomatoes are nightshade plants, but there's something else. There's another reason why you want to be careful, especially with tomatoes. Germination crossing in, not really. Pollination, no. So
not with what we're growing.
Right. So what I'm more concerned about is
Eco hit it, not to rob the nutrients.
Not to rob the nutrients, exactly. So tomato plants are greedy as all get out, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure that I'm putting I don't have to worry about my nutrient balance nearly as much when I'm separating them properly. Okay. So yeah, she's laughing at me. So I got orange hat tomatoes. That's what I'm doing one of. I have some behind me. I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. Yep. That is
my dwarf. Friend sent me some too. Thank you, friend.
So yeah, orange hat tomatoes. I'm gonna show you what that looks like here in a minute. It is a dwarf variety. It is a dwarf variety. And everything I'm doing here, outside of it's a baby choy, but it's not dwarf, but it's going to be smaller than your original choy. I'm just putting a little bit more on top because I don't want to bury that too deep. And then we'll label that, and I'll show you what this plant looks like because I've been growing it. Orange hat tomato, boom. And this is as large as this plant's going to get.
While he's grabbing that, I'm going to be growing some Tom Thumb peas. These are really, really good. And you can see it's meant to stay in a small pot. And they grow really, really well in hydroponics.
So this is as tall as they get. And I actually went in and I chopped the plant and I replanted it. They strong like that. They can survive. I got a volunteer coming up. I hope that was that what I think it is? Because I stuffed No, that was just a volunteer. So oh no, it was. Dang it.
Uh-oh, what'd you do? Now
No,
with the pea seed, I'm going a little bit deeper because you know you want to plant
yeah,
as deep as your seed is. So, and matter of fact, let me show you what that seed looks like. It's just a pea.
just a pea.
It's
Looks
just
like
a pea. But I do need to bury it a little bit deeper in my tray than I would the other seeds that we're trying to plant.
yeah, you end up with a leggy and not strong plant there. So we got one tomato hat, orange hat tomato done. I'm also going to be doing 2 other compact or dwarf variety tomatoes that my friend sent me. We got a little birdie yellow canary, which I've never had before. That's
Damn
right here.
yummy.
And then little birdie rosy finch right there. So since I've never had them before, I'll be doing 2 of the yellow. Yeah, Miss Crab gave it to me. My friend Miss Crab gave it to me. But dang it. Okay, I'm making a mess. So I'm gonna do 2 of the yellows because she said that those are her favorites. So I'll do 2 of the yellows and I'm gonna do 1 of the red, the birdie rosy finch one. So boom. And go ahead and we'll make a little hole for them. That way it'll be easier than this. And boom.
Yeah, I'm sorry that my camera died because I wanted it focused on what I was doing down here, but you guys get it. just
dropping
just plant
seeds.
your seeds. Y'all drop seeds. Just drop your seeds. And then the last tomato I'm doing is the micro tom, which is another micro tomato. I tend to stay with the micro tomatoes when I'm doing hydroponics because my area, pretty much what Robert said at the beginning of my area is so small. They don't need as much in the way of watering and all of that. So I can keep them in a smaller container. And that's pretty much, and they're cute. And they give you full-size fruit. You know, they're cute and give you full-size fruit. So you're getting, you know, you're saving space along with getting your money's worth, you know, your bang for your buck. So it's a micro tom. Okay, so mighty buck boy.
And then we got the little birdie rosy finch. Now, I will be starting another batch because the containers that we're about to show you, I actually have 4 of them. It's a good deal, guys. So it's a good deal. And if you got the money, you know, go ahead and splurge on yourself. You reuse them, just like this light system behind me. This is a lifetime investment. These containers is a lifetime investment as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So within 1 year, I will get my money back out of these containers. Just like that wine, I ain't stopped mixing up wine. Matter of fact,
I created a monster, y'all.
I got more juice down here that I need to mix up. So I got juice down there. I got juice on the way. Yeah.
So
and I'm doing 2 seeds with everything. In case you were wondering, 2 seeds with everything.
Yep. I'm all done in here. Got my heater on here. If you want to use them on a heating mat, you can. You know, treat these the same way you would any other seed starting, you know, adventure. But if you want to use a heating mat, you can. Once you actually start seeing your plants come up, you want to get light on them immediately so they don't become leggy. But they will need to live in here until they get their first true leaves. Okay. If it does look like it's trying to dry out, like Robert's doing it perfectly from a wicking point of view, you can just throw some more water, let it wick up. If you're doing it my way, you know, you're going to want to do the finger test every so often. And if it does look like it's drying out, go ahead and just add a little bit more water or mist it, you know, to keep them from drying out. Okay.
I'm actually just use these little trays I just showed y'all because I think they're going to fit. Yep, they'll fit in there even better. Boom. That's perfect. And I'll find something later to throw over the top of them.
Yep.
And everybody should be happy.
Yep. So, like I said, this is the first step as far as getting started. Easy peasy, right?
Done. Just like that.
Have you two had success with these plants before, hydroponic systems, or is this your first time? This is your first hydroponic, isn't it?
This is my first hydroponic. I do everything first with Miss Craft. I
Yes.
ain't go do my own research. I just just like with the line, I just
Yeah.
follow the leader, and then after we get done, I start going down that rabbit.
Now, as far as the plants that we chose, I've done them all except for the pak choi. I usually grow my pak choi outside, so this part will be an experiment for me. But I do know out of all the vegetable types that work in hydroponic, you can't go wrong with leafy greens. They love it. They love it, love it, love it.
That back up in its permanent location.
Okay. Miss Craft is a pro at the Kratky Style. Thank you, Love Notes. Did I say hello to you? Hi, Love Notes. So busy trying to teach.
I'm a needy student.
Love it. That looks like Chinese takeout. That's exactly what it is, Eco Neighbor. It's funny because when I get good containers like this, when I go to a restaurant and they give me really good containers like this, I have to keep them. And my husband's like, really? More stuff?
Right. More stuff. Tell him check the bank account.
But I'm like, yeah, it's more stuff, but it's more free stuff. This stuff I don't have to buy. So we've already paid for it. I mean, this is just plastic I'm keeping out of the landfill. I mean, it's sturdy. It does the job. I can use it over and over again. This is a really good one. It's got a hinged lid, so I won't lose the lid. It's perfect. I couldn't let that go. Okay, I just started trying to plant. I'm not tried hydroponic, but I had dreams about years ago. Well, what you waiting for, Track and Audrey? Get on it. As you can see, you can start with us. You know, we'll be your support system. Okay. Dollar Store Food Truck page, absolutely. You can go there. You know, hey, I saw my post earlier. Yes, you guys created a monster, didn't me? Awesome. I've been fermenting all kinds of things. You started me with the wine. I went to kombucha, ginger beer, and sauerkraut. All right, now I see you, Muriel. You are ready. You are ready. Miss Craft is a pro. Thank you, Love Notes. Hey, what is it? I'm sorry. Star does it. Hey, it is what it is. Me too, Turf. Okay, so yes, you're starting to.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, right, but I'm thinking more like tomatoes. Sis, I know she's a. Yeah, as far as tomatoes are concerned, like I said, you really can grow whatever tomato you really want. Tomatoes love water. I mean, like you said, you can take off a sucker, throw that in some water, and it take right off. So they are perfect fruit for Kratky and hydroponics. But as he said, they are hungry plants. They are going to go through some neutral water. So you got to accommodate for that. If you want to be hands off, you're going to need a huge container. I'm talking at least, if you're talking about a full-size tomato, let me go back to that. If you're talking about full-size tomato, you're going to need at least a 5-gallon for one plant. Okay. If you're talking about doing a whole bunch of plants, you're going to look, you know, a whole bunch of buckets. Okay. Which is why I recommend, if you're trying to do something starting off, number one, and you're trying to keep it small and keep it in your house and keep it looking pretty or something like that, go with the micro plants. They are, like I said, they don't get much taller than the one that Robert showed you. What was that, about maybe 2 feet, foot and a half, something like that.
Tomato plant?
Yeah, the tomato plant. Yeah, so they really don't get that tall. The only reason it would, the only reason why it would get tall is if it doesn't have enough light. They do need a lot of light because they're going to try to go up and find it. But if you can give it enough light, they will stay short, stocky, and bushy because they're determinate varieties. Right. They're not indeterminate. So does everybody know what determinate versus indeterminate means when I say that? Everybody good? Okay, just in case, because I know we're lagging a little bit behind, but indeterminates are vine tomatoes. That means as long as they have the growing tip, they will keep going and going and going and going. As long as the temperature's right and it's got enough food, it's going to keep growing. Whereas the determinate is like a bush variety. It doesn't get very tall. I think the tallest that a bush will probably get is maybe by 4 feet. And I think those are the big ones. But they'll hit a certain size. They'll only give you a certain amount of tomatoes, and then that's it. These dwarf types, more often than not, are going to be permanent, and are only going to be somewhere between a foot to maybe at max 3 feet. So they're not going to get very tall. Most of the time they're going to be cherry or no more than about that size of tomato, because you need support. But you can get full size cherry in whatever slicer, that's a slicer size tomatoes off of those macros, and they will grow wonderfully in a Kratky system as long as the container is big enough to support it. Or you maintain it and keep putting water in it to feed it, don't let it dry out, type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. I lost my spot, I'm sorry. I have built a table that holds containers for my hydroponics. Nice. I'm debating on connecting the containers together with PC pipe. I also found a bubbler that uses solar. Okay, so you're talking about using something like, I'm talking to Lena, I'm sorry, Lena's Backyard Homestead. You're talking about using something like a deep water culture where you would have to introduce oxygen. So you would use an air stone, a bubbler, stuff like that. Those are great outside as well, because they also take the rainwater in for you. You have to be a little mindful about mosquitoes because they like water too, but there are things that you can do with that. You can throw dunks in the water or something like that. But yeah, that's an excellent system to have the PVC, because what you would do with that, the way she's doing it, if I'm hearing you correctly, just correct me if I'm wrong. But the buckets will be connected via the PC pipe. PVC. That's why I kept studying as PVC pipe. I'm like, I'm missing a letter. Through the PVC piping, and the water will flow back and forth between the plant and the supply water, which would be its own container. Usually a nice, huge, one of those huge containers, storage containers that you can put your water and your bubbler in, and it'll pump the water up to the plant, circle back around, and go back in. And then the only thing you have to maintain is that container of water. You don't have to do anything to your plants. So yeah, so that's an excellent way to do that too. I have one that I've grown.
Audrey, growing indoors in Wisconsin. What's that? Wisconsin, that's like what, 5A, 5B or something crazy like that? Yeah, that's exactly why we're doing this, because
oh yeah,
my growing season is pretty much, I won't be planting anything. Like I got stuff out there that'll last all winter, like carrots and whatnot, but I can't grow anything new. No. So that's a bummer, right? Because it's so cold out there. But yeah, we got hydroponics. So
exactly, that's why we're bringing it inside. Keep it going. I mean, yeah, you want to be able to take your summer crops and your fall crops and store them away. And all, but nothing beats a fresh salad, right? You can do this to make, to grow those things that you kind of eat on the regular, and you can keep your lettuce going inside. You don't have to worry about, the white flies and all of that other stuff messing with you. You can have salad all day long. And what we're showing you here is that if you get the right size, you could also have your tomatoes, you have your peas. I have a miniature cucumber that I like to grow, and now that vines all over the place, but they're the cute little cucumbers. But I mean, you can even do your peppers inside. If you have the room, you can even grow bell peppers, and those are hungry. But the bigger the plant, the more maintenance, basically. So if you're good with that, inside, light, heat, water, bam, that's all you need. And what Robert is showing you there is the container that we're going to be using to grow our seeds once they're ready to be popped inside. It's a really, really, really good deal from one of the YouTube contributors. His channel is Keep Growing with Mike Van Doozy. He also has a Etsy store, which is where we got these. And he has a buy one, get one sale. So you may want to go check him out. I'll remember to put a link in the description when it's all said and done. really good guy. If you want to go check out his channel, he's big into microgreens. Matter of fact, I think I have a video of me doing a similar type of hydroponic where we're doing a wicking bed. And I have a shoebox with a hydroponic solution in it, some ShamWow type of cloths that feed up to the soil, and that is wicking the nutrients into the soil that my microgreens is growing into, and it worked beautifully.
So I'm showing this for Starduster. We have the exact same nutrient load that you already bought. This is what Mike provided for us. He provided us with the I can't remember what that 41838 is, but that's what that
master
is.
Blend. It's all the master blend. It's the whole set.
It's the master blend, right? Then we got the calcium nitrate, and then he also gave us a little bit of Epsom salt for that magnesium. So those big six, well, the big three and the little three, the six, it's all here.
Big and little three.
Right, and he gives you directions on how to mix them up. So that's super cool.
Yeah, he gives you pretty much a no-fail start to your hydroponic system.
Yeah, no fail.
The only criticism I have about this is the fact that it's white.
Right. Now it is an opaque white though.
It is an opaque white, right. But
still white.
Light can still get in. And the reason why that's a little bit of a problem is because algae.
Oh, and algae.
Algae is going to be a big factor because algae also is attracted to the nutrients, and that's all it needs. It needs nutrients and light. If you have an aquarium, you know that's an ongoing fight because you have your fish lights on, they're in the water, they're giving you out their nutrients, and algae will get in there and mess with your tank unless you have an algae eater. Right. Same difference here. If you have a container that lets too much light in, algae will begin to grow and compete with your plants for nutrients and oxygen. And depending on how much goes in there, they can win and start killing off your plants and choking them off. So, like I said, it may not be a problem. There are things we can do to it. What I may end up doing with mine, Robert, is at least putting some aluminum foil on the top so that the light is shining directly down in it to would not deter it. But that's going to be part 2, actually setting up your Kratky system. We're going to go into that. And then and mixing up your nutrients and things like that, and talking a little bit more about that. And part 3 is going to be showing the results. Hopefully we can make it to our part 3 with barring no incident, nothing dying off. But yeah, when we can get to a point where, we can actually show you that, yes, this is working, and we'll bring you guys back in. Heck, who knows, we may start another one with you.
I'm going to, matter of fact, when we come back, you'll probably see that I already have a whole nother set of seeds started to start again when we get done with it. And I kind of want to rewind real quick as far as the price point for these things. Outside of them being white, you can easily adjust that. This is what happened with me. I'm going to tell you. Miss Kraft, she sent me the link, and I was like, $50? Nah, I ain't paying that. I was like, that's what I initially said. I'm not paying that. And I was like, I'm going to go find some food grade containers on my own and build this thing on my own. Well, I went searching Amazon, Walmart, whomever else, right? What I found was this is a really good deal because the containers themselves, I don't even understand how he's making money, to be honest, because the containers themselves, these containers at these size, you're going to end up spending about $40 already for 2 containers. And then
just for 2.
Just for 2, right? And then you got to cut out the noodle, you got to cut out these holes. And if you mess that up, then you got to start all over. And oh yeah, the containers themselves, the containers cost $40, but then you got to get the lids. So they're usually not sold together. So then you got to find the lids, then you got to drill the holes. And if you mess up the hole, guess what? You got to order a new lid. So for me, there comes a time where I'm willing to save money. And then there's times where I'm going to just hit the easy button. And that's why I hit the easy button on this. And it was such a good.
Plus he gave you the nutrients to get you started.
I didn't even know
your first one. Yeah, gave you that. I know he had one special where he was actually giving away micro seeds, you know, with
Right.
one pack. I think that was special at one point. I mean, like I said, he's a good dude. I mean, he's not going to rip you off. But
Yeah,
you know, you don't necessarily have to go that way. I mean, like I said, if you're handy and you got buckets and stuff laying around like that, you can, you know, 5-gallon bucket, your lid, drill a hole in it, get your net cup and pop that in there that way. You can get an old container that you have the lid for. Go ahead and drill your holes that fit, you know, the pool noodles or the net cups if you're going to go that way. You just need something to hold the right amount of water for the plant that you're growing. Okay. Right. Like I said, I love my little, you know, mason jars. Now these aren't, you know, the inexpensive ones. These are expensive because they got the UV effect on it. But right. I need that to keep the algae down. But I'll have those forever. That's a 3, you know, that's a 32. So I can grow some lettuce in there, fill it up a couple of times and be done. The 64, I can, you know, grow a head of lettuce and be done. I can even do a tomato in there as long as I'm willing to weekly put water. Maybe like twice a week, depending on how thirsty the plant is.
Yeah, you can use an off-brand container though. I'd say the only health concern would be make sure at the very least you get an EPA-free container, which most of them come that way nowadays. I really wanted a food-grade container, but you can make it work with any container. And I'd say the only thing that you would want to make sure for sure is that you don't have EPAs in that plastic.
Right. I mean, if you could find the right ones, you can make them out of rain gutters. I know a lot of people do that, make them out of the PVC piping. You know, that's an excellent way to do it. These towers that you see that they're trying to sell now, that you can have these real pretty towers to grow your food in your house, you know, that are going like for $300 or $400. You can probably make it for less than $100 if you're, you know, if you're handy that way. So, you know, think creatively, just like with anything else. I mean, you don't need to, I mean, even if you're container gardening, what is the container? Something that holds something. This is a container. I mean, you know, I can get a glass drill bit, drill a hole in there, and I can grow a plant in here if I wanted to. I wouldn't, because I'd rather have, you know, what's in here. I could. You know, I mean, so, you know, don't overthink, don't complicate it.
Yeah, Folgers coffee
container. Don't complicate it. And really just kind of roll up your sleeves, get in there and give it a try. You know, you don't know until you try it. And if you fail, get up and try it again. Try it until you get it right. That's just about, I mean, that's what life's about. Keep trying until you get it right. Yeah. So, you know, is there anything else that we need to cover? Did we cover all the basics? Are there any other questions for me?
Questions, right. I'm looking forward to this, guys. I've never done hydroponics, like we already said. You know, I'm just learning as much as I can, preparing myself for that one day, finally, when I'm able to settle down and have my own little partial homestead. Yeah, I have in front of me right now, while we wait for some questions to drop in there.
Yeah.
I got this sugar cane that I don't know if you saw me plant. Well, I didn't plant it, but you saw me get the sugar cane from the New Orleans gardener. And look, I got my first one popping up. And Eco, you in the house. The pine cone blossom, the pine cone, what is it, lily pine cone plant that you gave me? I got some green popping up. I got a sprout popping up on that one too. You can't see it. I mean, if I showed it to you, you'd probably spill the soil mix out too. So I grow a lot of stuff indoors. That's why I got this light system. So where are you getting your light source from for the seedlings until next time?
I have some already set up. I don't know if you can see. You can't see them, but you know, I have LEDs. I have T5s. You know, anything strong enough that's going to help, you know, get your plants going. It's when it comes to the T5s, they kind of get a little weaker over time. So as you use those and you find out that your plants are going a little more spindlier than they normally, it's time to change your bulb. But they work just fine. LEDs work just fine. You can go to Hidden Harvest He's one of our dudes in the garden community that sells these fantastic lights. I just wish I had a way to spin them because I would definitely get them, but I don't.
I did mine from the ceiling. Remember, I don't know if you ever saw my very first garden video, and the hooks are still up there. Because I hung them from that's when I had the table in here before I swapped it out and put this in here.
Yeah.
But I did that. You talk about Hidden Harvest grow lights, right?
Yes, Hidden Harvest grow lights. Yeah.
Hidden Harvest grow lights. Yeah, he's got nice little lights that he's got.
Yeah, and he got, I mean, for what he's offering, best price around. If you can figure out a way to suspend them and hook them up, go check him out for real.
Yeah. Now that I'm going to get
I was
started.
thinking the same thing, all that wine. Don't be Jay, Eco. I'm waiting for your video. Where it at?
Okay, then, sir. You should see our sugarcane is ready to harvest. I put up a new video today. If you get a chance to check it out, I'm going to go check you out.
All right, Star. I see you.
I mean, you took a little hiatus there. Everybody needs to take the time. I've been on like a 3-week hiatus, so don't let me. I'm not judging over here. Okay, I was wondering if it was T5s. Yeah, mine aren't T5s. These are LEDs. These are high intensity LEDs, full spectrums back here, and they're actually supposed to last probably as long as my dogs live. But it was a lifetime investment. That those lights this will be around for a very long time. I can't find. Okay, they're talking about the Hidden Harvest grow lights person. Yep, Lead Farmer got his lights from him too.
Yeah. Track it, Audrey. Thank you so much. He just subscribed to our channels. Thank you. I did see another note that you have further back. You said that you like doing a lot of leafy greens and things like that. I meant to speak to that. Hydroponics is perfect. Yeah. Perfect for that. Yeah. Perfect. You cannot do any better because they will turn over quickly for you. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, if you're a big salad eater, which I need to be more of,
fine.
You can easily set up a system where you will constantly have lettuce. Do I now?
I said I lost 20 pounds because of eating vegetables this year. So my wife, she's not too happy about that. Though. Like she doesn't like that I didn't try and it kind of just fell off. And to be honest, I didn't even know this until she and somebody else said something to me. And then I was editing videos and I was like, dang, I didn't even realize how healthy I was looking. Yeah. Until I wasn't looking that healthy. I was actually kind of upset. I was like, well, babe, you ain't say nothing to me. Like, why you ain't say, you just gonna let me get out here and get sloppy? She was like, nah, you didn't look bad or anything. You was just a little, thick. And I was like,
a little chunky.
He preferred it that way though, because, rewind 6 years ago, before I got injured and whatnot, I was as hard as a rock. Like all the time I was in the gym. I was a gym rat, lived in the gym, 190 pounds and just a ball of muscle. So she liked it that I wasn't a ball of muscle anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when you become a lady of a certain age, it's a little bit harder to keep things off because you're not only fighting the food, you're fighting the hormones. Yeah. But the gardening has helped, and like I said, growing more leafy greens and things like that, getting more of those vitamins and minerals in the system. So yeah, that's the goal right there.
Yeah, Eco, I'm doing this right? The pine cone lily thing that I can't get right. I think it's fine. I think she's
fine. And I know I'm going to say your name wrong. Quiani. It's so unfair. My husband drops weight while eating ice cream. Don't you hate people like that?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Since you're showing some stuff off, let me show this off. Hold on.
Yeah, show us. I'll show y'all something else. I stole this from my brother. We're gonna be showing
off topic now, but that's okay. Can anybody guess what that is? Matter of fact, I'll even show it that way.
I have no idea. What is that? What is it?
That don't look familiar right there?
I see that, and I'm like, to me, it looks familiar. I can't put my thumb on it. What is it?
This is one of the angel trumpets that I bought from Lead.
That's what
already.
Boom,
Already.
that thing is jumping.
Isn't it pretty?
Look at that.
Like I got a little something down there that popped up out of the soil there.
Yeah.
I cannot wait until late spring gets here when I actually get these flowers on here. I mean, this is beautiful. I just have to keep it moist, keep it very, very moist. It likes wet soil, but yeah.
I ripped a piece of my brother's one of his mint plants that I got him when we did his no dig garden. And I literally on my way out of his house, I just went by his garden and snatched a whole bunch of stuff.
Nice.
I ripped a piece of it, and look, I done took it, split it twice. That thing is like thriving. It's doing its thing. And
now, if you want to get real fancy with it, Robert, you can take you a couple of snips on that and throw it in the hydroponic system. Mint loves water.
Ooh, I like that. I might do that. And this is rosemary.
All of your herbs, just about all of your herbs, especially basil, love hydroponics. They can't get enough.
Does rosemary like hydroponics? Because I know rosemary doesn't like a lot of water.
No, that's a woody plant.
Right.
No.
It's more of
you
a
want
woody
things that are going to be like more from the mint side of the family.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's a woody plant. Yeah. But this rosemary, this is some type of culinary rosemary that chefs use all the time. My brother, he likes to cook. So I snatched a piece of that. I rooted that twice. I actually have the other one right here. So this is a little baby one, and I harvested off of it. I'll probably split it again and take another sample. But
it's the pink one, Eco Neighbor. That's the color. What was that? Peaches? No, the peaches and cream is orange, but that's the other one I got.
Seeds from you struggle with rosemary eco, man. They just too much water. You down there in Florida, that's your problem. I guarantee you, it's too much daggone water.
Too much water
in the pot, and control the amount of water that you're giving it. Because my brother, he's been struggling with it too, and he's in South Carolina, but they've been getting these huge amounts of rain, just floods, and it just it kills the rosemary. Doesn't like a lot of water, like she said. It's a woody plant. You almost kind of want to treat it like a citrus, and I know you know your citrus. So if you treat it like how you keep your citrus,
it's a Mediterranean plant, so they have dry, Reef is bringing out the whole forest.
Speaking of citrus.
But yeah, so I can remember where the video is. I will let you know, Eco Neighbor, but there's like 2 schools of herbs. You got your water-loving herbs, like we were talking about, basil and mints and things like that. And then you have your dry herbs, like I think thyme falls into that, and rosemary and things like that. So they have to be grown differently, While you want them all together looking pretty, so you can go snip and snip and snip, but you have to treat them differently. And if they're going to be outside, and like Turf said, if it's raining, they're not going to do well. They're not going to like that.
Yeah,
they don't mind it being cold. They don't like being wet.
Yeah. Unicorn Lady Tech, you got because is it? I'm pretty sure it's an evergreen, right? This rosemary.
Yes.
Yeah, it's evergreen. Yep. I got my.
Someone said it here. It's a desert plant. Yeah. Thank you, Love Notes.
I got my trumpet seeds. I'll be dropping those probably in a couple months. I'm gonna start mine a little early indoors, Unicorn Lady, so they'll have a jump. You might want to do the same. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Yeah, you want to start them early.
Yeah, start them in February if you can, because that's probably when I'm going to start mine. January, February indoors to give them a nice jump.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if there's nothing else, anybody else have any other questions for us at this point? About why we're starting, what, and any hydroponic type questions, or everybody's telling where everybody else is.
Yeah, I know. I feel your pain. I'm in 7A, so you gotta get creative. You gotta get creative. You sure do.
Yes, absolutely. Don't let weather dictate what you can and cannot grow. Right. I mean, when you're getting started, absolutely. Just this way you'll learn your weather. Okay. Yeah. Grow what you know works in your zone. Once you know your weather, when it's going to turn over, when it's going to get super stupid hot, so you can be ready for it, you shouldn't be able to grow just about doggone anything you want. Now, does it mean it has to come inside? Probably. Does it mean it can never go outside? Possibly. But it shouldn't stop you from growing it if you really want to do it.
Right. Shoot for the moon. I tell you.
Shoot for the moon. Exactly. I mean, I want to grow peppercorns. Now I know there's no way I can grow them outside because they can probably spend the summer outside, but they would definitely have to come back inside because it's a tropical plant. But I know mentally, because I know they're not in my zone, by themselves, I'm going to have to put in some extra effort to this plant. And then it's just more a point of me deciding if I want to.
Right. Isn't the peppercorn a pretty big plant?
It's a vine. It goes up. Yeah, matter of fact, there are some varieties of the pepper plant that are house plants, and they can get these nice big red flower leafy type things on them, but they don't fruit.
Yeah. So plant a seed, not leather. Can you grow pomegranate seed in the hydroponic system? I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. And that's actually one of the fruit seeds that you can start from seed.
You absolutely can. You can grow a lemon tree hydroponically if you wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. Any plant, matter of fact, those angel trumpets, because they love water, I don't see why they couldn't. That's the key. You want to have plants that like having their roots wet, or don't mind having their roots wet.
Love Nose is growing peppercorn.
You have peppercorn? Nice.
Growing with Jeff. Hello, everyone. No, that's not the dude, is it? Is that the dude?
Growing with Jeff, where are you? That's my boy. Is he here? Hi. He's like somebody I love to follow. Matter of fact, he's doing an experiment. Remember I was telling you about different ways you can start your seeds, and how initially you want to start your seeds in water because they got everything you need. Well, he has a series on his channel right now where he actually took I want to say 3 to 5 gallon bucket, and he started his seed directly in the hydroponic solution. He has rock wool and the pebbles around it, and he started the seed in the rock wool, and he had the water high enough that it was keeping the rock wool, moist. And he's letting it grow hydroponically from seed, starting with the hydroponic solution and seeing how well it's doing. And I think he actually put something up either yesterday or today, and it's looking fantastic. And It's only been a couple of weeks, and he's already got a head of lettuce just starting about that size. It's only been a couple of weeks.
Nice.
So that's my dude.
2 gallon bucket. 2 gallon bucket. So
I hope your ears weren't burning.
Yeah, his ears were burning, right? Yeah.
Oh, I have 2 bay leaf love notes. They're out in my greenhouse right now. Oh, he said it was a 2 gallon bucket. He started the water in. Oh yeah, he is an excellent resource for growing inside and doing things. He has help me out, Jeff. You have the arrow garden on some of your grows too, right? Think so. Yeah, the arrow garden.
That's gonna be 20 seconds on that return.
Yeah, that's fancy schmancy. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great channels out there for this. And like I said, everybody's going to do something just a little bit different, but at the heart of it is what we talked about before. It's, finding a way to get those nutrients to your plant, support your plant, give it what it needs in the way of light and air and enough water, and see it to its fruition. That's really what it boils down to. I mean, even outside, you need to do the same things. It's just a different medium. Okay.
9-pod arrow garden.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so go check my buddy Jeff out. He didn't know we were buddies until today.
Know something with Jeff.
Know something with Jeff. Really nice dude. Yeah, really nice dude. Okay, so again, I will go ahead and put the link. Once this is all rendered and all, I'll put the link for the tubs that you can buy. I will also see if I can find the links for the pH and the ECC if anybody's interested in that, if they want to go that route. as far as nutrients are concerned, we're going to go ahead and use the master blend that we were given for this grow. I've not used master blend before. But like I said, I know a lot of people rave about it, so we're going to give that a go. But next video, we'll also talk about different types of fertilizers that you can use. Is there anything else I need to preempt for the next one?
No, just know that if you do order these containers, it's going to take a couple weeks.
Yeah, yeah, he does all of this by hand, so yeah, it will take a little while
to order, almost to a point, I think, because I mean, if I was him, I would hand make him to order, because you don't want to ruin a container if you don't have to, type thing.
Right. And what you can do, if that's what you want to do as far as what you're going to order, go ahead, place your order, and then that's the perfect time to start your seeds. By the time you actually get the container, your seeds will be ready to go.
Exactly.
Be ready to pop right in.
That's exactly why we did it this way. So you can start your seeds now today. Think about what kind of system you're going to need. And you got 2 weeks, you got a week or two to just think on it until you get your true leaves. So you got time to start your seeds now, especially if you already have your dwarf variety plants or you have enough room to do a full-size plant. And then while you figure out what kind of Kratky system you want to use, of course, you got time until that seed is developed so we can remove them before that root system gets too complex. And it, it's easier to recover when you're young. Just like with us, at young age, it's really easy for us to bounce back. The longer we leave them in these mediums, it's harder for them to reestablish. So exactly.
And it also gives you time if you don't want to put the investment in something that's store-bought. It gives you a chance to create your own. I think I remember in the live, and forgive me, I can't remember who said it, but they used coffee containers,
right?
The creamer containers. If you go through a lot of coffee, save those. Those are perfect for hydroponics. I mean, they don't let any light in. Just drill your hole and throw your plant in there and let it go, man. Let it go. Get creative. Jeff said something. Hold on.
It got to be somewhat food safe because it came with food in it.
Right. Jeff said the only downside to the Aero Garden is that you can't grow full-size stuff, only about 2 feet of room in them. But I try to push the limits. I can't blame you. Yeah, that's kind of what I saw. Like, mostly just herbs and early lettuce type of thing. Maybe a tomato.
Yeah. FR Humphrey still got tomatoes outside in AA. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you restart? You probably resow. Did you resow, or is it the same plant from the spring, or did you resow midsummer? Because I did that, and I got a Black Beauty, but I didn't do it early enough, so I only got one off of it, and it was immature. So
yeah, all of mine went into a second season without me having to start any of the
that's what's up.
So
I had indeterminates that I literally had to call it on them because they were getting so big, they were growing up, and then the wind, the way that it comes through here, it was too much of a hassle. So I took it. And lesson learned, right? Like I knew it was indeterminate, but I guess I didn't fathom how they were just going to keep going. Like they were
as long as that growing tip, as long as that growing tip is on it, it's going to keep going.
I had to top it. I literally had to top it, especially the ones that were in my box on my porch. I literally cut the top off just to stop them from growing. And they still continue to send out fruit off the side.
Yeah, they'll still go this way. They won't go up anymore, but they'll go out this way and then start going up again, right?
I had to stop it from growing because they were literally about to hit the top of my daggone little over cover here. So I topped it off, and then I still got a few more iterations off the side, and I just took them all out. But they probably would have still been hanging in today.
Yeah. Well, what I've done is did take some of the suckers off of a couple of the ones that I really, really liked and brought them inside and rooted them and have them in the pot. So they will be ready to go outside next summer. So I'm technically overwintering the plant, but it's its own new plant. This is the first time I'm trying it, just to see what happens. I think you can only do that a couple of times though before the genetics of the plant starts to wear out. So I think you can only overwinter it one time or so. So
Yeah, I'll be starting a lot of my tomatoes. I'm starting a lot of stuff mid-January, February. Like my onions, I'm starting my onions in January, February.
I put my seeds out already. I have my onion seeds already out there.
Really? So you're doing like a dormant seeding type thing with the onions?
Yes. Yes.
Well, see, I don't have that much space, so I'll start them in cells in here. I'll put probably about 4 to 5 seeds per cell in each cell, and then I'm gonna use what's his name, the no dig king, Charles Dowding.
Charles Dowding, yeah.
Right. So I saw him. He had bunches of seeds. It was like 3 to 5 seeds per bunch in each cell. Then he dropped them, and then onions like to be bunched up a little bit anyway. So I'm going to try that method. But right now I'm out of containers. So
yeah, I have.
I want to have stuff yet anyway. So
yeah, I have one of my containers dedicated just to a whole bunch of different onions out there, and I have them under straw. Nice. So this will be the first time I'm trying them for seed. I know I have to plant them sort of like carrots. You do the same thing as you would carrots and your garlic. You're gonna start them in the fall, let them overwinter, and then in the spring I should start seeing leaves popping up. So that's how we're doing.
That's cool. Maybe one day I'll have that kind of space. My collard green tree started to grow another round of plant coming through to the sun. Yeah, my collards.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna be ready for Thanksgiving. Yep, and I have enough to share too, so that's cool. I'm gonna harvest all of them, pick them clean, pretty much. And
I don't think my round's gonna be ready for Thanksgiving, but they should be ready for Christmas.
I'm interested to see take 70% of the plant, how much, if any, will bounce back before January.
I know in my zone, 1 year I actually let my mustards go to seed and I wasn't able to catch them, so they went everywhere. And the following spring I had just little mustards all over the place. So they overwintered on their own, and just like your tomato volunteers, they'll pop up on their own. We don't really, I don't think, especially in the zones that we're in, we really have to worry about, seeds dying in the ground. Is that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Right. They go to sleep during the winter and they pop back up in the spring. You really don't have to overthink. I think it's more for us to be organized, to know, okay, this little patch is this and this little patch that, But if you were to let your garden just go and at the most just keep it weeded, so the weeds don't take over, the garden's going to do what it's going to do. If it wants to come back next spring, it will. And there's nothing that you can just stop it except to pull it up. And if you don't pull it all the way up, them roots are going to take root and start all over.
Exactly. Collard green trees, we just call them trees because of how big, how large the plant can get.
Yeah, they get tall.
You want to see a Jurassic collard, you go check out Essie.
What? Yes.
So that's why they're called collard trees. It's your regular like Georgia collard greens or something, but the plant gets so large. They'll get huge if the soil is right and the conditions are right.
Absolutely.
And like Love Knows say, they take frost. I'm interested to see how they're going to do with freezes though. Like, so I've already had one true frost, so I know those collards on that plant right now are nice and sweet. They're going to be perfect. And I think I have at least another frost before Turkey Day actually gets here. I'm going to harvest them and I'm going to take them to my to where I'm going for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
that'd
I'll
be cool.
show up with stuff for other people to cook. That's pretty much.
There you go. There you
go. Yeah.
Year, I'm hoping I'm going to have a purple sweet potato pie. That's all. Those are the only tubers I was able to get up this year, so it'll be a purple pie.
Mario's like, I thought I was missing something. It's like, no, I could be confusing.
No, they just go straight up.
Yeah,
matter of fact, if you really wanted to, if you really wanted to, you can actually get a cabbage to grow that way too. You just keep taking the outer leaves.
Really?
It'll grow up on the stalk.
I didn't know that. How about
it? Won't get as tall. Yeah, it won't get as tall as the collards because then it's still trying to form a head. So eventually you'll run out of leaves. But if you keep taking the leaves off, you'll get a stem. You certainly will. They're all related. The brassicas and stuff like that.
Right. I ain't coming that low, Eco. I'm not coming that low. I'm going back to the brother's house. That's all.
Sorry, Augusta. I got a purple sweet potato that was 5 pounds. Dang.
It's a baby.
Oh man, that's a big one. Yeah, I have not dug up my purple yam yet. I need to because the vine died back with the last freeze. So I need to go see what that's about. But my purple sweet potatoes, yeah, they're in the house already.
Yeah, speaking of dying back, my dahlias, all those beautiful dahlias y'all used to see, they're done.
Yeah.
That frost took them out. It looks like a freaking tragedy out there, but
Yeah,
we're gonna get
that's
that.
what happened to me.
Yeah. I'll store those. And there's people that wanted them when way back when I did the dahlia video, and I asked people if they wanted them to comment in the video. So I think I got like 4 people I need to send dahlia tubers to. Miss Craft, of course, you'll get some.
Thank you, love. Yeah, the only thing that died back on me that I wasn't prepared for, mostly because I ran out of room in the greenhouse, was my roselle plant.
Oh, the roselle.
Yeah, which is no big deal. I mean, we just started all over again, and I'll make room for it next season. Yeah. But yeah, it was just starting to flower, and I was getting the little calyxes, and I was like, "Yay, I'm gonna have some roselle tea."
Yeah. Got kissed by frost.
Yes. But everything else, that's already out there is winter proof. I mean, that's one of the reasons I love perennials, because it's pretty much, just get it in the right area so you can protect it the best way you can. But they are going to come back. They are going to come back. And anything that's frost tender, I have them, bundled up together and pushed together in the greenhouse. And just keep it chucking. Just keep it moving. So what now?
Now I was talking to Lizette over here, my wife.
Oh. Hi, wifey.
Tell her.
On that, on that note, we've been on here for a while now, so I want to, if there are no more questions, you can throw the line back out there one more time, and I want to wish everybody a restful and happy weekend. Yes. Get out there and plant something. Yes. Or put something in some water and root it.
Good. Grow it. Eat it.
Anything else you want to add, Robert?
No, thank you again, Miss Craft, for having me, teaching me one more skill and trade that, in times like this is priceless, So I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out.
Yes, definitely.
And I look forward to seeing what my plant's gonna look like here soon. I'm excited about this. Yeah. So as always, y'all take care, stay blessed.
Hold on, we got one question for you. Growing something with Jeff, how do you store your dahlias? I cut them down to the ground and put them in the shed.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I will be taking the dahlia, I'll take the dahlia, I'll cut them down. You want to bring them out the soil. You want to clean them off, kind of let them dry out a little bit, kind of like you would do potatoes. So you don't want soil to be in there. And at that time, it's actually a perfect time when you pull them up to split them if you want to. I have a pretty good detailed video that I did last year around this time. It's called Dahlias 101. And I walked through the whole process with my local horticulturist. But another good thing that you can use on those open wounds is like cinnamon. It's an anti-bacterial, antifungal. You'll dab it on there, but then you'll mix it up with, I think it was vermiculite. Yeah, I think we used vermiculite.
I can see that.
Vermiculite in the bag with it. I think that's the one that she's had the most success with is vermiculite. You put it in the bag and then you just put them in their own little Ziploc bags. You don't really want them to touch. You want them to be in their individual bags because if they touch, the organic material could actually break itself down. Throw them in a box, put them in a nice place, like your garage should be a nice, cool, temperate place, somewhere that stays between 50 and 65 degrees, even up to 70. And you just store them away until spring, and then you put them back in the ground. And if you are lucky like me, from my zone, you'll actually get two blooms. You'll get an early summer bloom. It won't be as extravagant as the fall bloom, but you get them in the ground soon enough. If depending on your zone, you can get a spring bloom and you can get a fall bloom. But depending on where you are, you might not even need to take them off the ground, out the ground.
That's what I was going to ask. Are these actual bulbs?
They're actual tubers. That's what they're
tubers. Okay, that's
tubers.
different. Okay,
they're tubers. So for like your zone, Miss Craft, I don't think your ground actually freezes, does it?
No, it does not.
So if you're in an area where your ground doesn't come to like hard freezes, where you're in an area like I'd say if you are 8A, maybe even 7B and below, you probably can get away with just leaving them in the ground. Just cut them down, leave them in the ground. You only need to pull them up if you want to divide them, separate them, cut your tuber. The video that I did, it goes into great detail. It's only about 10 to 15 minutes long, but I'm going to do a new one this year because last year I was learning in preparation for this year. Now I've learned, I've grown them. I'm going to store them myself. I'm going to separate, cut tubers off to send to other people because they create more tubers when they do their thing. I'll put a good video on it. So.
Yeah, because I leave all of my bulbs in the ground, all of my daylilies and stuff like that. I have no problems leaving those in the ground.
Right. Some things don't need
matter of fact, the next video, and matter of fact, the next video I plan on doing is showing how I plant my quokers, and getting those ready for spring planting. So be on the lookout for that. I'm planting bulbs.
So it's super. My channel is Turf Therapy. Grow something with Jeff. Turf Therapy. I'll type it in here for you real quick. Make it easy for you. YouTube.
Okay, you're 6B. If you normally leave any bulbs in the ground, Jeff, I don't think you would have a problem. I think you're still warm enough.
If he's 6B, no, he needs to take him up.
You're gonna think so?
Yeah. So he's above me. 6B is above me.
Yeah, it's above you.
Yeah. So and
you have to take yours out?
No, I got to take mine out. So if YouTube.com/turf therapy, you're going to want to pull those up, Jeff. Because if they freeze, they're not going to come back. They're actually perennial in the right zone. So they will come back in the right zone. So you're going to want to pull those up. I'd say if you are 7B or below, you'll probably be safe leaving them in. Because to be honest, I probably could get away with leaving them in here because I'm so close to the water. So I stay warm. My soil stays warmer. Like last year, my soil didn't even freeze. It got kind of hard.
Ah, that's right. You're my partner from New York. That's right. I remember Jeff. He's in New York. Yeah.
Right. So being in New York, you're going to want to pull those up for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I know those. I know those winners.
It's like I think it's like the 6th video I made. I've only been on YouTube for a year. So it's like the 6th video I made is Dahlias 101. I break down the whole process with you. Really, the horticulturist breaks it down, and I'm just there absorbing. And then I'll do another video here in a couple of weeks showing you how I do it myself.
Yeah. Love Knows made a really good point. I leave my bulbs on the ground. Some bulbs need cold.
Yeah,
and a good example there that would be your garlic. They have to go through a cold season.
Right. They need their cooling. They need their chill hours. Garlic, tulips, daffodils. Those are bulbs.
Yes.
Dahlias are tubers. They're tubers. They're different. Potato family. They're like they are edible. You don't really want to eat them, but they But they're the same family as potatoes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and same with daylilies. They're in the same family as well, and I definitely can leave those in the ground. So yeah. Because I saw some recipes for daylilies. I'm like, really? And they said they taste like potatoes. Right. Like if things happen the way lead says happen, you need to know what you can and can't eat. Right. And we do know daylilies and orange lilies that you find on the side of the road, and push come to shove, better go forward.
Right. Yeah, bulbs, tubers. Not the same thing. I don't want you to confuse that. So absolutely right. Tubers, bulbs, most bulbs can be left in the ground. These tubers, though, they're not gonna make it. So we're gonna want to pull those out.
Yep. Okay. So on that note, I'm hungry. I got to get off. I can sit here and talk with you guys all night, but I'm hungry.
Go cook up this steak. It's gonna be good.
So Guava, my friend.
Guava
to you all. Have a blessed
we'll be
evening.
back in about 2 weeks, right?
Yep, about 2 weeks. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will see you guys on the flip side. Love you all.
Peace.
Now I got to remember how to turn this thing off.